So today we're going to do something that we don't normally do. We're going to do a full album listen through and review. We're live on Twitch right now. Hello, Twitch chat. This will be on YouTube later, I think. These are always kind of weird because I don't know, like, not a lot of people want to watch full album listen throughs, but they want the review. So what I think we're going to do with this one is it'll just be some kind of bonus content. I'll put the full unedited version, if anybody misses it, on Patreon and available on Twitch VOD too. Like, I'm not trying to make you sign up for Patreon to watch it. You can watch it on Twitch. But today we're going to listen to the brand new album from Nightwish called Yesterwynde. Now, this released yesterday, and this is their first album since Human Nature in 2020. Also the first album without their former longtime bassist and vocalist, Marco. He is no longer with the band. So this could get quite interesting because I genuinely do love this band, but from the one single that I've heard from this album so far, is for those of you that saw the reaction to that, I thought the song was good, but I wasn't thrilled about the mix, and it seemed very like out there and artsy. Not that that's a bad thing, but the things that I love about Nightwish are when they are epic and rocking and stuff like that. And I'm talking all eras of Nightwish. I'm not one of those people that prefers one singer over the other. There's certain eras of this band that I genuinely love each singer on. So I am curious to hear this. And one thing we were talking about before we started recording is that it is very odd to see a band in the music industry that releases an album and doesn't tour. And Thomas from Nightwish has already said that they are not doing a touring cycle off of this album. From the last thing that I read, I think Kai, their drummer, had said in an interview that they don't plan on touring until like 2027. And that is something that I had confirmed by one of their crew guys that was on another gig that I ran into this summer at a festival. He said they were told that they will probably not be touring working for Nightwish until 2026, 2027. So this band is getting old. They've been around for over 30 years. They all have families and lives and other projects going on. So I have no problem with them not touring. It's just odd to see a band release an album and not do a touring cycle for marketing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Now, earlier, somebody in chat did say that Thomas said in an interview that either they needed a break or there was going to be no more new Nightwish. So that I understand, because these bands get burned out, man. I mean, everybody in a band is just a human being. I know some people look at bands and like, we get demanding as fans. We're like, give us what we want. But the truth is, there's a lot of mental burnout that comes with this kind of stuff. So if the band needs a break, by all means, take the break. Be with your families, do your other projects, don't tour, whatever. I'd rather have the band go on than just burn out and break up. But anyways, we're going to get started with this album because it is about 70 minutes long. Going back to what I was talking about my like comments on the mixing issues, a lot of people had suggested to me that maybe I wasn't listening to it right. At first, I don't know what you're trying to say, but I do now. People said I probably wasn't using good headphones or something like that. I am using my in-ear monitors that I use on tour, which are literally top of the line, created by one of the leading people in audio engineering in the world. So I'm not worried about what I'm using to listen to this. I have a good interface. I've made sure that all of my settings on my streaming are at the absolute highest quality they can be. The only thing I was told that I might do different on this, which I'm not, is listening to it in the Dolby Atmos surround, because I don't know if this is true, but somebody said this album was specifically mixed to be listened to on the Dolby Atmos surround sound, which that's a little weird to me. I don't know if I believe that, because while I'm sure they did a version for it, like, it makes no sense to mix an album on a sound setting that the majority of people listening to music aren't listening to it on. You know what I mean? So I would imagine most people that are listening to it are going to be listening in their cars or on streaming or something like that. So that's how we're going to listen to this and see how it sounds. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Yesterwynde by Nightwish, album just released. Looks like we're going to have probably an intro of a song, and then man, some of these songs are long, so let's go. The first track on the CD is called Yesterwynde. Interesting little intro track. Because, like, usually with intro tracks on albums, sometimes there's like a massively epic build into, like, that's kind of the formula. Just massively epic build into whatever that first track is that's going to slam in. So that was kind of interesting that it was just like really low key and vibey. I really like the vibe of it though. It's very calming and very relaxing. There's a lot going on too. Obviously, you had acoustic guitar in there. You had some of the like flute stuff going on and whistle stuff, and you obviously we're going to get slammed with a ton of orchestra related stuff too. One of the funny things I forgot to brought up is that I saw that this album could be streamed in Roblox while you're playing Roblox. Which was funny to me to read because I don't know anything about Roblox, but Nightwish fans don't strike me as the kind of people that are playing Roblox. Like, I figured Nightwish fans would be playing like fucking Elder Scrolls Online or some shit. But anyways, let's keep going. The second song on the album looks like it is the longest song by over a minute. 9.5 minute song. The song is called An Ocean of Strange Islands. Let's go. I saw a couple of people in chat ask if I'm listening on Spotify. And then I saw a couple other people say I need to start an Apple Music trial to listen to this album properly. Does Apple Music legitimately have a better quality of this album? Jamjar Brain said, I don't feel like having slightly better sound will make it sound better. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing we've been talking about is like, if Apple Music legitimately has the Dolby Atmos version of it, that's going to blow my mind that like this album really was made to only be listened to in Dolby Atmos. Otherwise it's going to sound like fucking chaos. Sounds exactly the same. All right. We're going to do something ridiculous here. Audio experts, I'm going to play them both. Is this Spotify or iTunes? Is the next one Spotify or iTunes? Yeah, most of you are wrong. The first one was iTunes. The second one was Spotify. Some of you got it right, but most of you that were saying stuff were wrong. So that's my whole point here, guys. And also, let's keep in mind, to be fair, you guys are all listening through a device that I'm streaming on Twitch, which could be compressing it further. I'm listening to it through my headphones on a fucking, what's this thing called? I am legitimately having an old man brain fart right now. What is this thing called? An interface. Thank you. Holy fucking fuck. Okay. What the fuck, dude? Fucking Troy. Fucking one song. Troy got... They pulled the typical Nightwish and they fucking hit me in the old Celtic Gaelic feels right off the bat. That ending to that song got me. That ending was beautiful. So first song on the album right away, that gave me everything about Nightwish that I want. It was fucking huge and epic sounding. It had beautiful parts. It had heavy parts. Some of the breakdowns that they had in there with the guitar and drum grooves and bass grooves and shit were awesome. That is what I expect from Nightwish. Like that sound. That's the sound I love from this band. It kind of reminded me of like Dark Chest of Wonders a little bit. This actually sounded like something that could have been on like, I was going to say Imaginarium. Yeah. That gave me the old school Nightwish vibe that I really like. Now, what I will say, I still have a slight gripe with the mix, as I did when I did the reaction. However, it's not really bothering me that much. There are some things in the mix that I would prefer a certain way, or that I would have expected a different way, but there's a very unique wild wall of sound effect going on right now, where it kind of reminds me, some of you might think I'm crazy, but just based off of one song, like a rockin' song, it kind of reminds me of the mix from like City or Alien by Strapping Young Lad back in the day. Just that intense, chaotic wall of sound. You know what I mean? So while there are some things that I still maintain, I do not think that this is the kind of caliber mix that I usually expect from Nightwish, and maybe that's why it's hitting me differently. I don't have a problem with it after that first song. The next song on the album, third track on the album, is called the Anitkythera Mechanism. Anitkythera? Words. The Anitkythera Mechanism. Let's check it out. Dude, this is after 3 tracks, 1 intro and 2 full songs. This is already so much more than I expected. I'm going to be fully honest and transparent right now. Before this stream started today, Frosty, everybody knows in chat, Frosty, texted me and said, "What are your plans for today?" And I said verbatim, like I'm not kidding, and I will explain this. I said, "Shit on the new Nightwish album?" ? Because I literally expected all of this to sound like that first single that we got that I wasn't like stoked about. I wasn't prepared to come in here and shit on it. I was just expecting something completely different than this. I was expecting the sound to be more like, I think I said in the first reaction to their first single, I was like, I feel like Nightwish is becoming like Tomas's just artsy fartsy project at this point, which is basically like, if I want to listen to his side projects, I will. I am so like eating my words and surprised right now that I'm like stoked about this, dude. Those first two songs for me are solid. Like, and the more and more we listen, the less I care about the actual mix because it just sounds so like wall of sound. So I'm stoked on this so far, man. Some of the things we got in that last song too. I liked Floor's little like when she transitioned to those just like shouty vocals on the point. Like that was kind of a cool touch on that. I thought that was really cool. And Kai's drum work on that one, man, by towards the end was just unreal. This album, I think, is going to be way better than I was expecting. And I truly mean that. Like, I am absolutely like eating my words right now that I said earlier. Cause this is not what I was expecting, honestly. Just based off of the only single that I heard. But let's move on. I think this next one was another single. I would just guess that based on the amount of plays that it has compared to the rest of the album. But track 4 on this album is called The Day Of. Let's go. One of the shorter songs on the album, 4.5 minutes. Oh, that outro just reminded me of something and I can't put my finger on it. That one was wild, dude. Like taken by surprise right away with the 1984 Knight Rider vibes. I'm like really happy and refreshed on like I think somebody else said it in chat. I think it was Colty said like how creative they've been with this album. We're only a quarter of the way through and already it's like wild. Like I'm like legitimately surprised on like not only how creative it is, but how much I'm like, again, eating my words. Like this is not what I thought it was going to be. Like I am thoroughly enjoying this right now. So the next track on the album is the single that we've heard. I did a reaction to it and, I'll just paraphrase what I said the first time was I thought the song was good. The chorus was huge, but the mix was just not up to par with what I expect from Nightwish. Now, after listening to this album for the first 4 songs, I don't know if that's going to bother me this time. I've only listened to this song one other time on my own other than doing the reaction because I was like so on that hate train with the mix. So this is the first time I've listened to it in probably about a month. So maybe I'll feel differently about this one. But this is Perfume of the Timeless. This is the second longest track on the album at 8 minutes and 12 seconds. I guess maybe in the context of the album, the song makes more sense now, like listening to the whole album through as opposed to just hearing it as a single. And maybe we're right. We're kind of, they were talking in chat, like while we were listening to that, maybe there's something about when that was released as a single and you had to like watch the music video with it, maybe because you were focused on the music video, you weren't hearing everything that was going on. There were a lot of little things in there audio wise that I was like picking out that I didn't notice like the first couple times I listened to it. I still do think like mix wise, I'm starting to just think that it's odd to me because it doesn't sound like what we usually expect from Nightwish. I will fully admit right now, I don't think this is a bad mix anymore. Like as to what I said when I first did a reaction, but it doesn't sound like what we've normally gotten from Nightwish. It does sound different. Again, it sounds like that very big wall of sound, almost early strapping young lad, just can assault your senses in your face sound. And I'm actually really digging it at this point. To me, I think that's probably one of the biggest choruses we've heard on the album so far. So I understand why they chose it as a single. But for a whole song, I actually think the first couple of songs probably would have made really good singles as well. So let's move on to the next one. This one is, I believe, the shortest song on the album, 4 minutes and 23 seconds. This is track 6, is called Sway, not to be confused with the famous Coal Chamber song, Sway. Some of you probably don't even listen to Coal Chamber and don't get it, sorry. That's a cool little middle of the album, just like kind of folky palate cleanse. Like That's a beautiful fucking track, dude. That's a really good one. I like that just for the vibe. And Floor and Troy sound really good singing on that together. And some of the actual instruments that were in there and how hard they were panned on the mix was actually really cool. I think mix-wise, that was my favorite one so far, actually. And now I'm like wondering, I say that's like a good middle of the album palette cleanse or something. Like, is the next song going to be heavy? Or is it going to be more like we're going to Isengard? You know what I mean? Next track on the album, about 5.5 minutes. I'd say that's probably the average length of songs on this album. This one has a higher amount of plays compared to some of the later ones in the album. So this looks like it might be one of the more favorite ones. This one is called The Children of Ata. There's definitely a formula here. Like with the rockin' songs. It's like they always end the rockin' part like a minute earlier than the actual song, and then the song has like a beautiful outro. All like the creativity on this album is really taking me by surprise, man. Like that one was wild. And I saw so many people in chat bringing up that that is based on the true story of, I think, what was it, 1965? There were children that escaped their boarding school and wrecked ashore on the island of Ata and lived there for 15 months before they were found. Like, you hear that story, like who hears that story and goes, yeah, let's write a song about that. Trink said, how the F Tomas find these stories to get all the inspo. Then somebody said he watches History Channel, Discovery Channel a lot. Now all I'm imagining is like Tomas when they're not touring, just sitting in a cabin in the snow somewhere in Finland, like sitting in a lazy boy recliner with his feet kicked up, like no shirt on, just a beer in his hand, just watching Discovery Channel. This is wild, dude. And the cool thing about that one, too, that was very unexpected is like the Polynesian chants and the hakas and stuff in there, especially accented going into parts, like very like unexpected, but very, very cool. That's 2 songs now that we've had like 80s synthwave vibe, which is not really something we hear from Nightwish. So it's very interesting. I think the big, oh yeah, sorry, Finland, he'd have vodka, not a beer. Creativity wise, again, I think that's my big takeaway from this album so far is like what they're doing with their writing is so cool. And I will fully say right now, like without ranking the album, like halfway through, I'm enjoying this one more than I enjoyed their last album, Human Nature, like all around from start to finish so far. So let's move on to the next one. This one's 6.5 minutes long. This song is called Something Whispered Follow Me. No joke, I think that's my personal favorite from the album so far. Like just vibes, feelings, the song itself, like it's probably unexpected considering how much like a few of the other songs like just rocked. But that one, dude, that one was, I think it's my favorite chorus for sure. And it's also the most, I think, so far we've got to see Floor, like, just do her thing. But even in that part in the bridge where she was just belting, like, there was so much other cool stuff going on, man. That piano part that was going on was awesome. You had the orchestra going on, and then it built back into that ending. Like, I'm so just pleasantly blown away right now by what I thought this album was going to be to what it actually is. We haven't even listened to the last 4 songs, and I will say this is probably my favorite Floor era Nightwish album already, but we still got 4 songs. The next song on the album, another 6.5 minute song, is called Spider Silk. So let's see what we get. Man, dude, one of the things that I said during that, which probably won't be on YouTube because, you know, copyrights and all that stuff, is like, music nowadays is so predictable in terms of formula that like when you're listening to something, you can kind of feel where things are going to go. I've been having a very difficult time listening to this album, feeling where things are going to go. Like when parts are transitioning into other parts and stuff like that. I will say so far in this album, it's been really cool because the whole time after every like chorus or something like that, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, all right, where are we going? Take me on a trip. I have no idea where we're going. We're just getting in the car and driving. Like that, this whole album has been like that. And it's very, very refreshing and cool. Here's the other thing too. Usually when you listen to albums, you can, as you're listening, you can, after you hear songs, you can clearly like determine like, okay, this has been my least favorite song on this album. This has been my most favorite song on this album. I'm having a difficult time with that right now. There's actually been no song so far on this album that I would consider a contender for like worst or weakest song on an album. I've liked all of these songs for different reasons. 3 songs left, man, and this has been solid from start to finish so far. All right, next song in the album, another one, 6.5 minutes-ish. It has some of the least amount of plays so far from anything on the album, but that happens as albums start kind of progressing, like with people don't listen all the way through. So it's kind of natural that these songs towards the end would have lower views than everything else. So I'm not worried about that at all. But the next song that we're gonna is this word Welsh? Am I crazy? I don't think I can pronounce it correctly. I believe it's Hiraeth. Anyways, yeah, let's check it out. That's twice now. It's twice they've hit me in the fucking the ancestral feels, dude. I can't explain it. I don't know if that's a legitimate thing or not, because like obviously we've had this discussion multiple times, like on stream and stuff like that. It's like, you know, people from the US are just a giant fucking melting pot of people from other places. But my family predominantly is like Gaelic and like Welsh mostly. And I cannot hear anything that Troy does without making me feel emotional. Like even the intro to a song as simple as like, I Want My Tears Back with that intro, like literally makes me tear up. Same thing happened in that song. It's so weird, dude. Like, I can't explain it. But yeah, like they having those Celtic and Gaelic feel to some of these songs, man, is like, and it's not just this album, it's some of their previous stuff too. It just hits me in the heart, dude. I love it. That one was another one of my favorites, dude. Even though I can understand why that's not going to be one of the more popular ones on the album, like compared to the other songs, I think that is still one of my favorites. So it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Akira just said, Tomas going down the rabbit hole of historic ancestral songs, my feelings of the album. Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of references to other cultures and stuff. And I mean, even if we look at the music video to Perfume of the Timeless, I mean, that thinking about that now, that kind of presses the point. It's like family history and ancestry and stuff. We've got 2 songs left. The next song has the least amount of plays on the album so far. It is the 11th track. Again, that could be because it's later in the album and people just haven't had the time to listen that far. One of the shorter ones at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. It's funny, 4 minutes and 50 seconds is considered short for this album. This song is called The Weave. Oh! Dude, hold on. Oh my fucking fuck. We're gonna have a quick moment of this song sounds like this other song with Tank. Hold on. Please tell me somebody else fucking hears it. It sounds like fucking Dimmu. It's not exact, but that's what it reminded me of. Especially with the bass. That's a good one, dude. That's a good one for that late in the album too. That one for me was really cool because like that late in the album, I didn't expect something like that. Like, I don't know if I would say slamming, but like it was a heavier song for the rest of this album for sure. And that just, now anytime I ever hear that, I'm just going to think of Puritana by Dimmu Borgir, because there were parts that were so similar. Again, that's not to say anybody copied anybody or anything like that. It's just like frame of reference. You know what I mean? Like that happens a lot. That was a fantastic song. And we're at the end of the album. We have 1 song left. The song is called Lanternlight. It's 6 minutes long and it does go up in plays, which is interesting, but a bunch of people, in chat said that there's a music video for it. However, I don't think I want to watch the music video for this review because it's been kind of nice just sitting here and taking in the actual music and not having to like focus on anything visually, like, so I can like hear everything and just pay attention to everything. So I think I'm just going to do without the music video on this one and just kind of sit and take it in. Somebody just said it was the first one written for the album after the death of Tomas's father. Dude, if this is going to be anything like The Islander, like I'll probably be crying by the end of this. But last track on the album, this one is called Lanternlight. let's round this out, dude. This has been a hell of an album so far. That was a beautiful last song for an album. I saw a lot of people in chat, you know, referencing, considering the context of the song and the emotion and stuff like that. And a lot of people in chat were saying that just hearing that song made them very emotional. As you can tell, for me, it didn't, it drew emotion, but it didn't like break me down in tears or anything like some of their other songs have done. Like, I'm not kidding you. I can't listen to The Islander anymore. If I turned it on right now, I'd be in tears in seconds. Like, I literally can't hear that song. All right. We are at the end of this album. So I guess we need to do a quick rundown of everything. Now, I will say again, I would like to just reiterate and of what I said earlier. This is absolutely not the album I thought it was going to be coming into this. Again, I was absolutely, just from hearing the one single, was fully prepared to come in here and just like kind of struggle through this and not be into it. I had said that I was afraid Nightwish was just going to become like Thomas's, you know, artsy fartsy project at this point and just weird experimental stuff. But that whole album gave me everything that I expect from Nightwish and then some. And as I said earlier, I was actually very surprised by how creative they really were with it. There were so many different vibes and styles, and it kept me guessing the entire thing. Again, like music nowadays is pretty predictable. When you listen to bands, you can kind of tell where songs are going. And with this one, man, I was surprised at almost every turn on every song. The other thing that's interesting about this album to me, and I said it earlier, but like usually when you listen to an album from start to finish, you can easily pick out your favorite and least favorite songs. Like it's usually pretty easy. Like there's certain songs you don't vibe with and you're just like, this is very difficult. I think I changed my favorite song on the album like 4 times as we were listening. And now sitting here again, dude, I can't even tell you what my favorite thing. I think it was Something Whispered Follow Me, honestly, if I had to pick one. But least favorite isn't a thing on this album. And that brings me to another good point about an album like this. Usually when an artist goes out of their way to tell you, hey, this album that we're writing is like, there's not going to be like, it's not good to just listen to single songs. Like you need to listen to the whole album. Like how many times have we heard that from people? Like you have to listen to this album from start to finish, and then you listen to the album and you go back and listen to it again, and there's going to be 3 or 4 songs that you skip just because you don't vibe with them. This song or this album for me, absolutely every time I listen to it will have to be a start to finish. And the weird conundrum with that is that I don't think I'll listen to any of these songs by themselves, to be honest. And that's not a bad thing. It's hard to explain. It's like, I can't think of a time where I would be like, oh, I really want to hear An Ocean of Strange Islands right now and just turn it on. Like for me, this is like a musical journey that I would sit and listen to from start to finish anytime I feel like listening to it. So instead of like being like, oh, I want to hear this song right now, this is definitely one of those situations where I will be like, oh, I want to listen to this album right now. My total mindset and vibe from reacting to that very first single, The Perfume of the Timeless, where I said I was disappointed. Like, as a Nightwish fan, I was disappointed. This is not what I expect or want from Nightwish. After listening to the whole album, I eat my words on that, dude. I feel completely different. Like, this whole album is exactly what I expect and want from Nightwish. And it's absolutely fantastic, man. Like, I don't like ranking stuff on scales. Like, I'm not going to give this, you know, whatever number out of 10 or whatever like that. Because that's hard to do too, because everybody has different emotional connections and vibes with music. So like a 10 for one person could be a 2 for another person. I'm just so pleasantly surprised right now by how good this album is and by how refreshing it was creativity wise, where they went with the composition and with the writing. And as I said in the reaction about a month ago, where I was really not happy with the mix, not bothering me after listening to the whole album. I do think one of the big things is that it does sound different from a lot of previous Nightwish albums, which is maybe why I was so taken aback by the mix originally. Like it doesn't sound like, I think polished is the good word. Like a lot of previous Nightwish albums were like mega polished. This was more of a wall of sound kind of atmosphere where like there were some parts of this album where it just like destroys your auditory senses. Not in a bad way. Like it's just, there's so much going on and it's just such a massive sound that, man, this is one of those odd moments where like I kind of just, I take back everything I said a month ago about judging that mix and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever done a bigger 180 turnaround on anything like that I've like listened to and then listened to again and been like, whoa. And also for the audiophiles that were arguing about what sounds better, iTunes, Spotify, all that, and you guys made me go listen on iTunes. Yeah, we just listened to that whole album on Spotify and nobody complained. So there you go. just saying, man. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong. I'm just pointing it out. Like, I have my Spotify settings on the highest quality available. And, yeah, after listening to it again, like I have no issues with that. Dude, I honestly fucking hats off. Round of applause. Like, I think they easily just delivered the best album they've delivered since Floor has joined the band. In my opinion, I will say that. It's hard for me to admit defeat this hard because I literally was expecting to walk in here and be like, the Nightwish magic is gone. No, dude, they still got it. Tomas is still got it. Like, this is genius level stuff, in my opinion, in terms of music. I understand that this band isn't for everybody, but they're definitely for me. Like, they make me feel things, which is great. I love to feel emotions when I'm listening to music. It takes you on a journey. Like, it's fantastic. This is an absolutely fantastic album from start to finish. And I would honestly recommend anybody that enjoys music to at least give it a shot. The band should be very proud of themselves. The label should be happy with this release. I think it's the only negative now is that we know they're not going to tour off of it, so it's going to be a few years until you hear any of these songs live, which will probably be a cool moment when it happens. But to everybody that was on Twitch for this entire album listening, thank you for being here. Again, this will be available on Twitch and on Patreon in full, unedited afterwards. And if you're watching on YouTube later, this will be cut up. If you're interested in watching the full thing, you know where to find it. But thanks again, guys. And if anybody on YouTube wants to join on Twitch, I might start doing this more. This is kind of fun, just sitting and checking out full albums with you guys. You can go to twitch.tv/TankTheTech. I'm also on a ton of different social media. @TankTheTech is my handle on just about everything. I also fired up a new YouTube channel, but it has nothing to do with music. But if you want to follow my health and fitness journey and trying to correct my health issues that have going on, you can go to youtube.com/TanksAverageDudeFitness. Figure why not get a shameless plug in there for that one, you know? But until next time, guys, wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other. I love you all, and I will see you very soon.